Egypt's ancient culture includes a wealth of information, some of which is still classified, and this vast country on the banks of the Nile has made an appearance in both ancient and modern history. The pharaoh served as the ultimate authority in terms of religious rites and ceremonies around 3100 BC, following the political union of Upper and Lower Egypt. Egyptian deities were venerated and people were careful not to offend them because they were thought to symbolize various aspects of nature. So who were the strongest of these gods? Number 15. Amun-Ra. The Egyptian god Amun-Ra, or Amon, was regarded as the ruler of the gods and goddesses, much like Zeus was to the Greeks. After merging with the solar deity Ra, he took the name Amun-Ra. His female counterpart, Amunet, was referred to as the female hidden one, and he was believed to be the father of the pharaohs. Amun, Mutt, and Khonsu, the moon god, collectively known as the Theban Triad, were revered throughout ancient Egypt. Amun was revered not only in Egypt, but also elsewhere. Number 14. Mutt. Mutt, which translates to mother in Egyptian, is a primordial goddess who wears two crowns on her head, one for Upper Egypt and the other for Lower Egypt. Mutt is also known as she who gives birth but was herself not born of any, and in hieroglyphs she is shown as a vulture. She is frequently known as a cat, cobra, cow, or even a lioness, and is variously blended with other deities. Numerous other pharaohs revered Mutt, the mother of Khonsu, and her various affiliations. Number 13. Osiris. Osiris, who was revered as the deity of the afterlife because the ancient Egyptians believed there was life after death, was said to be the oldest child of the soil god Geb and the sky goddess Nut. Osiris, who is sometimes depicted as having green skin, was the deity of vegetation, which stood for regeneration and development, and was credited with causing the fertile flooding and flora along the banks of the Nile. Osiris was assassinated by his brother Seth after marrying his own sister Isis, but thanks to Isis's sorcery, he was resurrected in order to father a child. The son of Osiris and Isis, Horus, avenged the death of his father and ascended to power as a new pharaoh of Egypt, while Osiris transformed into the god of the underworld and helped with both the pharaohs and the people's afterlives. Number 12. Set. Set, the last figure in the Osiris myth, serves as the antagonist in this narrative. Out of jealousy, he killed his brother, then tried to murder his own nephew. The god of chaos, violence, deserts, and storms was named Set. It is only fitting that archaeologists have been unable to identify the creature Set was meant to represent. He often has a long nose and long square ears. It has a face unlike any other animal that has ever lived in Egyptian times or since. Perfectly disorderly. Number 11. Sobek. The fact that Sobek was portrayed as having a crocodile's head added to his reputation as a ferocious god. Sobek, who was honored alongside Horus at the Nile's Edge Temple of Kom-Ombo, is credited with aiding Ra in the creation of the world and with creating the Great River from his sweat. For Sobek, the Egyptians mummified crocodiles. Many of these are still on display at the Crocodile Museum in Kom-Ombo. An added advantage is that along this section of the Nile, there are lots of live crocodiles to see. Number 10. Ptah. Along with his lion-headed wife Sekhmet and son Nefertum, Ptah was the most significant of the three gods referred to as the Triad of Memphis. Memphis, an ancient Egyptian city, was located 20 kilometers south of present-day Cairo. Ptah was first revered as a god of builders and craftsmen, but in other forms he is also a god of darkness. The statue of Ptah is the only one of the four to remain in shadow during the twice-yearly Abu Simbel Sun Festival, which commemorates King Ramses II's birth and ascension by illuminating the temple's interior. Number 9. Amon. When the kings of Thebes, or Luxor, were credited with a military victory over invading foreigners, Amon gained prominence in the new kingdom. He had previously been a modestly revered god of the air. After the victory, his reputation blended with that of the sun god Ra, making him Egypt's most revered deity for several hundred years. The great Amon-Ra is honored in one of Karnak's largest temple complexes. Number 8. Nut. Nut, who is Geb's wife and is frequently seen with him, is referred to as the goddess of the sky and is the mother of Osiris, Isis, and Set. She is frequently known as a star-arched woman shielding her husband Geb from the night sky. Despite the fact that neither Nut nor her husband Geb's unique temple has been found, they are both represented in numerous surviving works of Egyptian archaeology. For instance, Nut is honored on the great vestibule ceiling at Dendera. Number 7. Anubis. Anubis governed the underworld before Osiris took charge. Ra and Nephthys' child Anubis was a psychopomp, or god who helps people in the afterlife. He had a reputation for mummifying the deceased and directing their souls to the afterlife. His dark skin served as a metaphor for the deep Nile deposits that made the region so fertile. Anubis also represented the Renaissance and the dying of dead bodies after embalming, having a jackal's head and a human body. Number 6. Ra. Ra, or Re, the midday sun, holds a significant place in Egyptian history. This world is thought to have been created by the sun deity Ra, who is depicted as having a sun disk around his head. Every sunrise and every sunset were considered to be stages of rebirth. He was a falcon-headed god, and because of his connection to Horus, he acquired the moniker Horus of the Horizon. Ra combined numerous ancient Egyptian deities, and he also created many others, including opposing deities like Ptah, Isis, and Apep. Number 5. Horus. Horus held a unique role in pre-dynastic Egypt. He avenged the death of his father and established Egypt's rule as the son of Osiris and Isis. According to myth, he is also regarded as the offspring of Geb and Nut. This falcon-headed deity was revered as the god of the sky, battle, defense, and light. The goddess Wadjet was the personification of the Eye of Horus, also known as the Wedjat Eye or the Eye of the Ra. It served as a reminder that everything was under surveillance. Number 4. Thoth. Thoth was a mediator who arbitrated conflicts between good and evil and is regarded as a self-made deity. Along with his counterpart Mutt, a master of both natural and divine rules, he kept the universe in balance through his command of mathematics. He was recognized by the ancient Egyptians as a scientist, philosopher, and magician. This deity with an ibis or baboon head was regarded as the most intelligent divinity in ancient times. Thoth is credited with creating the 365-day calendar and is also known as the moon god for keeping time even when the sun was not there. Number 3. Hathor. Hathor, also known as the Mistress of the West, ushered the dead into the afterlife. She represented maternity and female love because she was born of Ra. She was prayed to by the ancient Egyptians as the goddess of dancing and music. She is regarded as a blessing since she assists pregnant and laboring women. She was also known as the Lady of Heaven, Earth, and the Underworld, and was affectionate, modest, and kind to both the dead and the living. Number 2. Sekhmet. Sekhmet, the daughter of Ra, is pictured as a lioness and is renowned for her strong personality. She is famed for leading and defending the pharaohs during battle. She is also referred to as the Powerful One and is capable of annihilating her allies' foes. She is shown holding a sun disk and an Egyptian snake known as Uraeus, which was symbolic of monarchy and the divine. In the Osiris Judgment Hall, Sekhmet helped the goddess Mutt, earning her title of arbiter in the process. Number 1. God of Earth, Geb. Geb, who was also known as the father of snakes, stood for healing and harvests. This bearded god who wore a goose on his head was thought to laugh at earthquakes every time. He had a significant role in the Book of the Dead as the person who weighs the dead's hearts in the Osiris Judgment Hall. He was the son of Shu, the god of air, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture. The prehistoric Egyptians thought he kept the souls of the evil. The gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt represented all the essential elements needed to support life. The connections between these necessities of existence led to the growth of several cults and groups. Simply put, an ancient Egyptian god or goddess stood for anything that made life possible. That's it for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it just as I've enjoyed making it. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any of our great content. And as always, stay safe.